You got jokes.
They're all blind. We know. Okay.
All right.
Let me stop there.
So we're back, and now we're going to jump into it because I want to hear a little bit more about what your journey has been like as friends, what it was during university, and how it's been since having graduated. Because I know one of the biggest things that a lot of people ask is, how do I make friends after university, or what does that look like? Because university, honestly, it's a prime time to make friends, to connect with people. You know, a lot of people find their best friends for life. A lot of people find their partners, you know, their life partners, marriage partners, spouses, I should say. Others, you know, you just make connections that last a very long time. And that was one of my inspirations and motivations for making relationships a theme for this season. And so I'm curious to know, how did y'all meet? How long have you been friends? And how did you meet?
So it depends if you want the real answer or the fake answer. I'll let Julian go first with the fake answer.
We're keeping it hot. We're keeping it hot in this podcast. Humble, open, and transparent. Just like Transformation Church does. All right. So we want real answers. Okay.
Yeah, we constantly go back and forth about like the true origin story of our friendship. Julian has a different take on it, but I'll let Julian go first.
You go ahead with that fake version of yours, man. Go ahead, put that fake news out.
You know what? I don't want this back and forth. Somebody answer.
Okay, so I'll say it. So we went to the same CEGEP, right? For anyone that's not in Quebec. So CEGEP being a bridge between high school and university, 2 to 3 year program.
Some people think it's a waste of time, but some people it's necessary.
No, I think it prepares you for university. So during CEGEP, you know, we were both taking the program Mechanical Engineering Technology.
Yeah.
And I remember one of our first classes was metrology. And it was after lunchtime. It was the first semester. I think I had just finished playing basketball. I had my basketball shoes in my hand, and I was like going into class. But before the class was open, the teacher was not there yet. So the door was closed. We were all waiting in the hallway. And I saw a young individual. He looked lonely and hungry and timid. So I approached him, you know, because I felt bad for him. No, jokes aside, okay. I just walked. I approached Julian and I said, "Hey, man," and we just kind of started talking from there. But that was the moment where we actually first started talking. Is I went to him and introduced myself, and he introduced himself, and then you know, just through those small interactions that we would have, you know, our friendship kind of grew organically from there.
What year was this?
This was in 2009.
2009. All right. So, all right. Just to add to that, because, you know, there was some small holes, you know, missing in that story right there. So, I will give him that. I think there's no point going back, because I admitted at his wedding that he did come, you know, he did say the first words, you know, like
for the longest time he felt like I was the one timid and shy in the corner, and he came to me.
Revisionist history, I tell you, man.
No. Actually, I heard something very interesting. It's the victors that write the history. You know, you never hear history from the losing side, but most of the time from the victors. So but anyways,
I thought, hold on, don't go back, don't go so quickly. In using that quote, who's the victor here?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
one.
We're both one, so like we're both writing history at the same time.
Okay. I get it. That's why the story keeps changing.
Dust the holes, okay? Because
okay, go ahead.
So the antelope, you know. Yeah, so he did come up and me, and he did introduce himself, and from there I carried the whole conversation, you know.
Oh. Like, okay. You've carried this whole friendship on your back.
I, from that moment on, you know, all he had to say hello. I'm like, all right, hop on, man, let's go.
Okay.
No, jokes aside, it's yes, he introduced himself. We spoke, but and then I had to like introduce him to Dave Chappelle, and I think through that. Through that introduction of Dave Chappelle, I think that's one of the things that solidified friendship. You know, the laughing together. You know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the second part of the statement is a lie, but the first part of the statement is a lie. He didn't introduce me to Victor well, but the second part is correct. I think we bonded over our love for comedy. That was definitely a catalyst to our friendship.
All right, so who's funnier?
Sure. Well, it depends on the jokes, So
yeah, if you want like slapstick humor, that's Julian. That's your go-to guy. He'll make
that's shade.
Humor.
That's some shade, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I think we both have a good time. We both have, I think we both make each other laugh.
Julian, do you understand what slapstick humor is? Because you didn't laugh.
No, I didn't laugh because it wasn't funny.
Oh, okay.
He didn't laugh because it wasn't slapstick.
Oh.
Okay.
What type of humor would you say Tyron has?
I'm joking. We're both silly. We both laugh at the exact same stuff.
Y'all goofy.
Yeah. I was just trying to. We're both.
Tyron is just projecting. He's the one who loves this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the one doing all the slapstick. No, we're just. But no, I think that we definitely bonded over our love for comedy. And all types of comedy.
So you introduce yourselves to each other, and the teacher finally comes, open the classroom. You go into class. Do you end up sitting next to each other, or how did that?
First day. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Wait.
Wow,
No, was that? I remember.
No,
I don't think so.
No, we sat in the same row in the same column, but yes, I was sitting next to a white boy.
Oh, did he become part of your crew?
No, he didn't. No.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
so before Julian went racial, so we were just. You went racial on
What do you mean racial? He's just stating facts.
Okay. He can say that in a different way, but yes. So no, we were actually in that class, metrology. We were not partners. He had a partner. I had a different partner, and then afterwards, when we had different classes, then we made sure to partner up.
Okay, cool. Well, now you knew. So, what was your first impression of each other? I know you mentioned, you saw this timid boy that looked alone or lonely, but first impression.
Real first impression, I would say just good vibes, like I think one thing that characterized Tyron is just constantly being joyful, and I'm attracted to that energy, right?
Okay.
We're constantly being the reason why we say comedy is because we're constantly being silly, and looking for it to be silly. And what most people don't know about Tyron is he tried to present that front of very serious, because he is he tried to be serious and stuff like that. But yeah, once you crack through that shell, yeah, just
Harold, don't mute. We want to hear the reactions.
I don't think I present the front. That's very serious. That's not.
But you do.
Has anybody ever said you're intimidating?
Not
at all. Not at all.
No. When I say serious, I'm not saying intimidating. I'm talking about just serious. As in, say it again.
You got to clarify, because I can see why she might think that based on what you said.
Okay. No. I'm just serious as in
just like a stoic face, emotionless.
He wouldn't want to make himself look silly,
Uh-huh.
But when he's silly, he's being silly on
he's not for a good time.
Yeah, he's not for a good time and being silly, with his friends,
Yeah. You just got to get there. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't know if I would describe it like that, but
okay. How would you describe it, Tyron? Go ahead.
It's okay.
What was your first impression of Julian?
So my first impressions of Julian, I think if I think anyone that knows Julian, I think there's a few traits that pop up, and those traits were, I would say, immediately on display. So I guess Julian's very charismatic. I think that shines through when you first meet him. He's also very caring, and I would say he's funny, right? So I think those
admit
traits
that. I'm gonna have to deal with that, man. Don't say that out loud.
Ooh, too late.
No, so I think we have a great time together because of those traits, right? And so yeah, those were my first impressions.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Tyron. I appreciate that.
I'm here.
Let me rectify. Okay.
Exactly. I'm here to build you up here. I'm on. One second. No. I'm on this podcast to build you up. I think you're on this podcast to shoot people down. So your negative energy, we can smell that a mile away.
I could have sworn the first thing that came out of my mouth, it was he has good energy. I could have sworn that's what I said. So I don't know who I'm shooting down with that.
Okay.
All right. So you're spending here, you're enjoying each other's energy. You're going through CJAP year 1, year 2, year 3. It's coming to an end and it's time to decide what the next steps are for you. How do you choose because you ended up in the same university. So how did that process happen and was it intentional?
Oh yeah. I think like how did we choose to go to RTS? Is that the question?
Yeah, and how did you end up in the same university? Was that a choice or was just like, okay, well, here we are?
I think what the university that we went to, École Technologie Supérieure, I think they had a co-op program that was really unparalleled, right? You had a program that allowed you to do a mandatory of 3 internships, so you can really collect meaningful industry experience. And I think that was what sold it, is the fact that we would go there and we would have a guaranteed access to companies, but also money, right? As a student, being able to have these experiences that allow you to collect experience, knowledge and money. Like, what more can you say, right? So I think
Ka-ching,
the fact
ka-ching.
that I think money definitely is important, right? But really, yeah, just the fact that we had access to experience, I think that's just that's what sold it for me, really.
Okay.
I concur. This like what's going on back in my mind was like, oh, I'm gonna get experience, like during my my time in university, and as well, one thing I remember was there was less friction of entry. There was not a lot of friction of entry. If I remember correctly, at that time, either the GPA of entry was not that high, or you didn't need such a high GPA. So but so it was kind of like, but the biggest hurdle, while I was speaking for myself, one of the biggest hurdle was the language, because we're like, because the CJ that we're at the time was fully English, Anglophone. And so to go to a Francophone school, we're like, how are we going to manage? Well, I was like, how am I going to, how am I going to manage this? Because the last time I studied in French was, I was like 9. So
Yeah.
that's what the challenge was. But eventually I just like, what? It's a good challenge to take on, to be able to, it's a good challenge to take on. So that's why we chose that university.
So it was just an added bonus that you ended up going to the same university. It was the priority was, what is this university offering me as an individual? And then you just happen to be like, oh, we can both be there together. Why not?
Exactly. I don't think we set out to go to the same university like without a choice. Like that was not our first, I guess, priority for us to go to exact same, right? I think we both had our reasons why we wanted to go to RTS. And then it happened that we ended up both going to the same university.
Okay. So what's some advice you would share for making friends in university?
You want to go first, or?
No, go ahead. Let me think the question through.
I would say, activities, really doing activities. If you join a student club, I know some classmates that did that and they were able to make friends. I personally play sports. That's a good way to just, meet friends, develop friendships, and connections. So I would say do activities, put yourself out there, try new things. I think that's probably the best way. And also I would say, while you're doing this and you're trying to make friends, just don't forget who you are too, right? Don't be willing to compromise on yourself, trying desperately to make friends, right? I think when you're your authentic self. Oh, really?
Love a little bit. I think I was a little
Really?
lost in university, but I eventually found myself.
Okay, I like to hear about that. But yeah, I would definitely say, just stay true to who yourself. Don't compromise yourself trying to make friends at all costs. And I think once you're your authentic self, that attracts people because they see that you're a genuine person, and then you can build, meaningful relationships, right? So friends that have the same value system as you. So I would say that that's kind of my advice for building friendships.
Okay.
I agree exactly with what you said, Tyron. I think people have a tendency of thinking that if they're surrounded by 10 acquaintances, that they're actually surrounded by, like 10 friends, which is not the case. And in university, you meet a lot of people. You do work or like classwork with a lot of people, and like one of the things that was actually that I definitely loved was like, yes, you know that you're surrounded by acquaintances, but you actually build a friendship, the way I built my friendship was just being myself and by presenting my true self and my true values and stuff like that. And those people that stuck around, like, became like great friends of mine, and the people that didn't, like nothing, we're still acquaintances, like we will say hi, but
it's no harm, no foul. Also, you're not going to be friends
Correct.
with everyone. But would you say
Correct.
this advice applies virtually, considering the situation that we're in with everything being online and COVID-19 and this Rona? Would you say that you would apply the same approach virtually?
I would definitely say yes. You could apply the same approach, but like the challenges is like being in person. You kind of like I don't know. There's like this sixth sense of reading the micro behavioral that you can pick up when the person's in front of you, and like sure you can pick it, like you can like sense if the person's been genuine when they're speaking to you, but being in front of the person kind of helps, and kind of helps you pick up those micro behavior analysis that you can like determine, like, okay, like am I getting something like, am I sensing something is off or no? Yeah. So that's the challenge. That's the challenges I see that like today a lot of people would probably face. Like not having the opportunity to sense somebody who's who you're FaceTiming, or like
yeah. What about you, Tyron?
Yeah, it's a lot harder. I think virtually is a lot more difficult to build, new friendships, right? I think to maintain friendships, you can definitely do that. You already have the, communication stream where you can just FaceTime or whatnot. But to build new friendships virtually, I think that would be quite difficult. Not impossible, right? It just takes more of an effort.
Yeah. So I know that a lot of, university is this space where you can make friends, you'll find new people. And like you said, sometimes some of them will end up being acquaintances. Other times you may find a gem. But how do you go about determining, who's an acquaintance and who's a friend? Essentially, what does friendship mean to you? We'll start with you, Julian.
Honestly, friendship is somebody I could be my full self, like I was about to say I have no secrets to Tyron. There are many secrets that I have.
Tyron's on mute, but that's why y'all can't hear him laughing. y'all have no secrets, huh?
No, I wouldn't say. Like I would definitely say in terms of being my full self, as in like he's not gonna find out I'm a serial killer tomorrow.
He's seen it all.
Like he knows the core, like me to in terms of my core, in terms of like in my personality, who I am, and my values, what I stand for.
But how long did it take to get there?
I think in terms of intensity, it varies from people to people. Like I just like because we spent. You have to tell yourself like we spent 3 years at CJEB, and then like many more time at university. At university, we almost got in a fight a couple of times.
Oh, we're gonna get there. I got a question.
Like but over like obviously, like looking back, it's like that was so silly stuff, man. You just like but
Tyron's over here like it wasn't silly to me.
Talk like forever, No, but like yes, it was over like some silly issues, but like through those moments, you kind of like, okay, understand like okay, what's important here, right? So it was kind of hard. Well, let me see. I'm gonna a little blank of of what the question was.
No, what does friendship mean to you? What
Okay,
does it look like
thank
to
you for
you?
bringing it back, because I started thinking about like fights and stuff like that. I'm like, why am I thinking about that?
Don't worry, we'll get there.
Yeah. No. Friendship is like being completely true, like being fully myself. One of the examples is like, well, I don't. Well, it's a good thing you're here. Remember when they cut off the electricity at home back at the La Jolie?
Yeah, they did us dirty. It was during the winter time.
Exactly, right? So I was here studying, like, and no, they didn't cut off the electricity. They cut off the heat.
The heat.
Yeah, the heat. Yeah.
Yeah, we had light, but we didn't have heat.
Yeah, we had light, but I was speaking to Tyron through video through my phone. Was it through my phone or something? Anyways, we had internet, so yeah. I was speaking to Tyron. I had like this big orange coat on.
Oh yeah, like, that traffic controller coat. He's like, "You okay, man?"
Yeah, he was like, "Is there a reason why you wearing that big ass jacket?" And I'm like, "Yo, man, I'm good. Like, can we just focus on work?" He's like, "Julian, like, what's going on, man? Like, okay, we can study, but what the hell you got that big ass?"
It was
orange
distracting. It was bright orange.
And eventually eventually I tell them, they cut off the electricity bill, the heat bill, they cut off the heat. And
yeah, because the bill wasn't paid.
Yeah. He's like, you can tell me that, man. Come on, man. Like, we don't hide stuff. Like, so basically from that moment, we just started laughing at the fact. He's like, don't worry, I'm gonna remind you this in a couple of years when you got me balling. Like, remember when they cut off that heat? Now you're paying people heat.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely one of the things that we I think makes our friendship special is the fact that, we can be ourselves, right? In that moment we were FaceTiming and you had a winter coat on inside your house. And I was initially perplexed. I was like, what's going on? But then you explain, like, hey, the heat is cut off. And it was like, all right, okay, cool. I'm like, thank you for being transparent. Yeah, let's keep studying. Exactly, right? And I think there's a whole bunch of moments both where he was the one in, I would say, like, struggle or me, like we had different, it was vice versa, but there was a lot of moments where we were just true to ourselves, and we were willing to let the other person see our ups and downs, right? So yeah, I think that's a great story, Julian.
Thanks, man. Well, just to add to that, is like, I would just be like, friendship defined, like, how can you be like the level of being vulnerable with the person that's in front of you, and the person just accepting it, understanding it, and just being a support at that moment plays a lasting impact of how deep you build your friendship.
Yeah, I think it's very important to not force it, and I don't think it can even be forced. It's a lot of times friendships don't work is because you jump into vulnerability too quickly, or you choose to not engage in vulnerability. And either end of that spectrum is not ideal, and it's not conducive to building a deep and long-lasting relationship. With that being said, what do you like?
Let me cut you off just a second before you move on. Okay. No, because I do have to like shout them out. Like the reason why as well that it was kind of fluid in those moments is because I don't think everybody has this as a gift, like within that, and that's definitely something that like I think a lot of people could work on to get better at.
What is that?
And I just keep listening. I will tell you.
and Julian does not like to be rushed. I'm getting to my point. Okay.
And I think that's one of Tyron's like biggest attributes. Like for him it naturally flows, and that's empathy. To be able to like project himself into other people's shoes and be like, hey, like I understand, or I feel. I might not have lived through what you've gone through, but I could sense how it like if I was living through that, I could like know how you make this feel. So he managed his emotions pretty well. So in terms of empathy, he has a whole tank of it. So, and I think that's where, like, that's kind of where, like, when you're able to be vulnerable with a person who has empathy, and then, you know, with the wisdom that he has, play a strong support as well. So
yeah, and I think that from what I've been able to gather from you, Tyron, I feel as if that empathy, you have a lot of empathy for the limited amount of people that you allow into your circle. And you're very intentional in that, because we all have, you may have a lot of empathy, but also it has its cap. And
Absolutely.
so to be able to recognize that, you know what, I want to, you know, pour into these people very well. And I recognize that in order to do that, I also need to limit the amount of people that I'm pouring into, so that I don't myself get depleted. And I'm not allowing just, you know, any random type of people to try to pour into me. And so, yeah, I would definitely agree with Julian about that empathy. And it makes sense as to why now you're like, you know what, I have a lot of acquaintances, but I'm very intentional with who I call friend.
Yes. Well said. First of all, thank you, Julian, for the compliment. I appreciate you saying that. And then well summarized, Josephine. Yeah, I just want to, on that question about what friendship means, I think, Julian, you I think mentioning vulnerability, that's such a key aspect of having a great friendship. And also, there's nothing wrong with having acquaintances, right? I think sometimes, like we're kind of hinting at, you know, sometimes people would maybe call acquaintances friends. And there's nothing wrong with drawing that line between, yeah, you can have acquaintances, like you can have great acquaintances. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone, like you said, Josephine, has to be a best friend, I think. And there's also like some beauty in embracing those weaker ties, you know, like the small talk. There's beauty in small talk, right? And sometimes small talk turns into large talk, bigger talk, something more meaningful. Sometimes from your small, from your acquaintances, you might find some connections, like finds you a job or leads you to another opportunity. So there's nothing wrong with embracing, you know, smaller connections. And I think for friendships, I think one big difference between like a good friendship and a great friendship is like, for good friendship or acquaintance, sometimes you have common interests. I think for the best friendships, you have common values, right? So when you value something that's like, you know, to your core, that you can align with someone else that has the same value, I think that is where the best friendships lie.
Wow, that's deep. I thank you for sharing that.
That's a quote right there.
That's a quote.
Yeah.
Interests versus values. I feel that. So you were alluding, Sir Fome, to some fights, some near fights that happened at the beginning of your.
We don't have to speak about the past.
Oh, but we do, because the reality of the matter is it's not always roses, right? In any relationship. So what's the biggest argument or challenge that your friendship has undergone? And since you're still friends today, how did y'all overcome that?
I
want to hear stories. I want us to be hot, open, and transparent.
Okay. Since I brought up fights, let me start first, and then Tyron could adjust anything that needs to be adjusted. I guess one of the biggest one, and which is that created mini fight. I think what I learned, what we learned basically was insulting each other intelligence. You know, like I think that's something like we don't tolerate. You know, so I guess at the time when the friendship was still kind of like forming itself, like we take a jab at, you're ignorant at this. Like, son, you ain't calling me ignorant. We're gonna talk about this, and we go deep, you know. And because I guess we're both prideful in the sense that like you know, we love to be knowledgeable about what a certain subject, and if we're not knowledgeable, we definitely accept the fact that we don't know about a certain subject, but don't come and like don't insult our like
don't point it out and laugh about it.
Yeah, or even if you're not laughing at it, like just call. I think it's even worse calling somebody ignorant and being serious about it. You know, like yo,
you're stupid.
Meet me outside. You know.
Okay, Julian. So what was the argument?
There's many of them. So like I know you probably have some in your mind.
No, because you're setting it up really well, and I can't remember which argument you're talking about. Like,
No, I
which
just
argument are
I
you?
just told you. Like I think many of our arguments came from was stemmed from the fact that we're jabbing at each other intelligence.
Okay, you don't have one in
I could pick up the one when we're talking at the pool table there, where like do you remember the pool table?
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how do I don't actually remember it being about intelligence though.
Was this in public as well? I want to know if this was in front of like people.
This was just in a bar.
Yeah, this was in a bar. This was in between our study breaks. It was a study break. We went downstairs to the local bar. University bar.
Y'all and we played an interesting way.
But it's like we weren't drinking or anything. It was like we literally went there between our studies and played foosball, right?
Okay.
But I don't remember it being anything related to intelligence. What do you remember from that?
What happened? Yeah.
Spill the tea. You want me to bring it up? Like I could. Like I think we're talking about the issue of either it was I think it was religion. We were talking about religion, and then.
But that was not intelligence, right? Was it?
No. Like it was because what I said was I think you're ignorant on the subject, and then you were like, "I man, like don't be saying I'm ignorant."
That's funny. Okay.
I need more details than that because we're gonna get both sides, so might as well just. And you've already resolved.
No, but I don't know if you remember, so I'm just trying to like. Do you remember? Because I
do remember that, and No, I actually do remember that, and I remember the argument, but not how it initially started. So I guess you're filling in that void. Yeah. Well, I don't remember. I thought that was kind of it. You kind of mentioned that.
No, I remember just like saying. I remember saying that phrase, and then like. Because we were talking already, it was kind of like somewhat hit it, and I said that phrase,
yes,
and it just kind of blew off the top, and like
because what I remember from that story is that I forgot what happened, but in some way, I think I said something that was not meant to be an insult whatsoever, right? But I remember it was like something in reference to your family, right? And I forgot what it was. It was something. But it wasn't supposed to be like an insult, but I think because we were talking about it.
No, I'm kidding. Okay.
No, but honestly, I think it was that's what I kind of vaguely remember, that there was like some reference to like one of our families, either my family, his family. I think I made a reference to your family, but it wasn't by no means was it insulting. But I think because we were having already an argument, like it was like assumed that it was meant to be like a subtle jab. I forgot what exactly it was, but I just remember that got you upset, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, don't talk about. I forgot what it exactly was, but something about that, right? And to me, I was surprised that you took it that way because it was not meant to be at all. You know, I know your family personally, some of your members, and nothing but respect and love for them. So I was surprised that you took it that way. But I remember you said something like very aggressive, and then I said, just to not be, I guess, intimidated, I was like, What are you gonna do about it?
So you're for real catching people outside? You gonna catch these hands?
No, because Julian said it in a very aggressive way, right? And I feel like in that particular moment, the only way that I can meet his aggression was by saying those words, right? But it wasn't meant to be like I wasn't trying to initiate a fight or anything, but it was just, hey, like if you're gonna raise your tone,
those words kill many people, okay?
But they were like reactions. Like I felt like he had an action for, maybe he feels differently, but he raised his tone and his volume because he misunderstood what I said, and maybe I could have said it better. I don't remember the exact term, but it was definitely not supposed to be an insult. Yeah. But he took it that way, and I was surprised by that. So my instinctive reaction was to be like, hey, so what are you gonna do about it? And in that moment, that was probably the closest moment that we've ever been to actually like getting into a physical altercation. But you know,
I think that was the only moment, to be honest.
Yeah, that was the only moment. Yeah, but. Yeah.
And y'all don't remember it. I mean that's great, but it's also like I'm nosy.
You have to tell yourself it's about 6 years ago, okay? So
this was a long time ago, okay.
But the fact that nothing happened afterwards, it just showed me that, and then we were able to like patch it up that same night. That same night, we went from like being heated to being like best friends again. And I think that's a testament to our relationship. But also, that showed me like a new level, like show me who Julian is, right? In a moment where he felt that someone had insulted his family, even though, once again, that's not what I was doing, he was still had enough self-control to not go further, right? Because I had said something, then he said something more aggressive. Then I said, hey, what are you going to do about it? And then he chose to not escalate it where someone could have tried to escalate it, right?
I did give you a death stare, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we both know if we would have fought, you would have won, right? You've always been the bigger, stronger guy, right? But at that moment, I just couldn't be like, I was also frustrated, right? But yeah, you're just showing me that, like above it all, there's always love between us. Because even in that moment where it could have turned left, it was fine, right? We patched it up, so that was important.
Yeah, that's I guess a testament to our argument was we kind of like we almost treat it like a marriage, you know, like we don't.
Okay, I don't know.
Okay, hold up, man. Hold up. Like, let me explain myself.
Let me interrupt.
Let me elaborate. Let me elaborate this.
Hold on.
I can't leave it on marriage now.
No, we're gonna come back to it.
The last thing they heard was.
We're gonna come back to it, but so far, what I've picked up from Julian, he has said that he's been attracted to you, and now I don't know if y'all picked that up. You remember you said you were attracted to him, and you were.
He said attracted to the energy. Attracted to the energy.
But before he said energy.
Don't misquote me. Don't misquote. See, you doing what you're doing
too late. We got the soundbite.
Hey guys, exactly. It's recorded, so
yeah, it is.
If I'm lying, I'm dying. But all I'm saying is there's a lot of attraction that I don't know if there's a subliminal message.
No, it's a mutual.
No, but that's what friendship is, though. Like you're pointing it out like that, but that's exactly what it is. You're naturally attracted to that person. Because if you're not and you're forcing it, you know, like that should be like a warning sign. Like,
yeah,
am I forcing here?
But I think something that's interesting to note as well is there are different types of love. Love doesn't always have to be the intimate, only with like your spouse type of love. There's also friendship love. There's brotherly love. You know, so that's a whole nother conversation. But what did you want to add about the marriage point?
I never said. Okay, see, there's no marriage point. See.
Yeah, so what did you want to say about being in a marriage with Tyron? That's not what I said.
That's exactly not what I said. And that's why I was trying to, like, don't cut me off there, because
no, but that is what you said.
No, I said, what I said was, you can go back and play it. You know, I said we treat our relationship like it's a marriage. Okay. In a sense, in what way? In a way that like our arguments have a tendency of like sorting itself like very quickly. You know, like we will have an argument in the morning. I'd be mad about it, and he'd be mad about it. But the conversation will kind of like still go till we calm down. Like we'll literally speak in the car for like like for hours about the argument, and then after we solved it, go our separate ways. You know. So like the argument never kind of like, I think one of the testament of a relationship is like our arguments kind of like didn't last long. We didn't leave space in between let me be mad for 2 weeks or a week. It wasn't like that.
No,
it's like, if you have a problem, and that's Tyron mentality as well. As in like, if you have a problem, you better tell me that problem so we can solve it. You know, like don't be holding that thing in. You know.
Yeah, and that's something that I think we did throughout the entirety of our friendship till this day. If there's something that's on our minds, you know, we'll bring it up, right? And I think that's a great quality for Julian. I think is he just like he said that of me, he does the same thing. Like he'll say what's on his mind. But so you mentioned the bar argument. I'll mention we had an argument about who is more modern. You know, this was one of our famous arguments. And it was so silly. It was really so silly. Yes. Who's more modern? It was so silly. It was the silliest argument. But this shows you like we would argue about anything, right? I think I would say 1 out of 5 of our conversations results in an argument, but we end up patching it up. But we had this argument about just like who's more modern. I think I said it. And once again, I didn't mean anything by it. I just said something along the lines of like, in the future, when you have your house, I could see maybe you'll have furniture that's like not as modern. Maybe you'll go for maybe like a mid-century style or something. And he was not having it. He was like, no, you think
way.
just because
Like,
I don't wear. Yeah, he did not like that. He's like, what? Just because I don't wear the latest name brand stuff doesn't mean that I won't have modern furniture. And I was like, okay, I didn't mean anything by it. He's like, no. Like, let me get this straight.
We're gonna fix this.
If anyone's gonna have modern furniture, it would be me. And then I didn't like that. Like, why do you have to put it that? Like,
the
okay,
modernist furniture.
exactly. And then we kept going back and forth about who was more modern and who would have the more modern furniture. And that was once again in the middle of us studying. We just basically took 2 hours just to hash it out to find out who was more modern. And he wouldn't let it go. I wouldn't let it go. But yeah, I know we're making it seem like
you agree to disagree.
Yeah, yeah, we agreed to disagree. Exactly.
That was actually that became like for some of the argument that became the common theme. All right, let's agree to disagree, okay, man?
Yeah. And sometimes Julian will not have that. He's like, no, we're gonna disagree to agree.
We're gonna agree to agree, okay?
This won't stop until we're on the same side. Yeah. Oh man, but I can definitely
because one of the reasons why is because like what's the point of the argument at the end of the day? Because if you're gonna go, oh, let's agree to disagree, and it's on many points, okay, so what's the point of bringing it up at the first time then? Like if I'm bringing up an argument, it's like I'm trying to maybe show you my way of viewing it, and if you find holes in my way of viewing something, you're like, well, I see your point, but like here's where the holes are, and here's how you should here's how I view it, and adjust. Like.
Yeah, but exactly, and the fact that Julian and I are both willing to engage in that arguments, well, we call them arguments, just lively discussions, really. I think that's
very
that's
passionate.
Exactly. Very passionate discussions. And I think that's, once again, a testament to the relationship. The fact that I care enough to argue about a point with Julian is I care enough about, our relationship. The fact that Julian cares enough to argue and stand up his point, he cares enough about the relationship, because we can just leave it at that and not like really get to the root issue. And that's because like we might just try to like, pave it over and not address the issue. But that is, I think you're doing your relationship a disservice when you're not actually attacking the root cause, right? If you're not willing to have that conversation, get uncomfortable for a certain period of time in order for you to resolve and reach like a higher connection status or whatnot, like I think that's doing your relationship a disservice. So I like the fact that we, constantly argue and constantly challenge each other, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
All right. So I know that Julian, you're here in Canada, in Quebec, and Tyron, you've moved to the States and you're in Cali. So what does your friendship look like post-university, especially considering there's such a big distance between y'all geographically? How do you maintain?
We maintain, well, one, you need to acknowledge, I need to acknowledge in terms of like strength.
Also, I forgot to mention that you're also both married now. So you've moved into another level of life, I guess you can say. And you have somebody who's supposed to be like this really close best friend that you can lean on. So yeah, how do you maintain that friendship, that relationship? And how do you how do you know what you bring to Tyron and what you bring to like your spouse?
Tyron.
Tyron, my bad. That's right. Thank you.
There's no
Tyron. You keep messing up our names. Like
7 years, man. 7 years. But yeah, how do you maintain?
Like I was saying, one thing I need to highlight, it's like we each have our strength and our weaknesses. I have a gift of picking up the phone, and Tyron has a gift of calling. So
what do you mean by picking up the phone? You
I will answer.
Yeah, Julian's cryptic like that. He won't give you the. You got to read between the lines. So, yeah, Julian, what do you mean about that? Having a gift of picking up the phone.
No, it's just that I think we had a mini conversation about it, and I think Tyron could shed some good lights on this right here, because like I have a tendency of I don't have a tendency of calling as frequently. Like I would call maybe like in like a slash like months could like or not, I wouldn't say many months. I would say like maybe a month could go by, and then I'm like, oh, let me call, you know. But Tyron, like, yeah, he call you on the daily, like, hey man, what's up?
Okay, I did not call you on the daily. That's not true.
No, okay. I didn't say you call on the daily, but I said you could do it, you know, because you naturally think about like, oh, how's this person doing? Let me call him up, you know, like while I would like for me, it would kind of be like, oh, I haven't spoken to this person in a while. How they doing? You know, like that's how I would be reminded of it. So like because of that strength that he has as well. So we kind of speak on a weekly basis. I would say almost like it varies, right? Like on the average time, I would say like maybe once a week or twice a week since he moved to California. You know, like we're talking. The subject never changed. That's a you know, we're talking. Hey, how's your life going? How's this going? And it's funny because like you have some work and life experience that happens. It's like, let me tell this to Tyron. Let me see. Let me hear his reaction about it, and vice versa. You know, like he would tell me some of the experience that he would go through at work and stuff like that. Let me tell you what this one of this guys said at the meeting, and let me tell you how I replied in his face. Got him, you know.
What? So things are that lively over there at Tesla?
No. Okay.
That's his story. That's not my story.
Oh, okay.
No. What I'm saying is that like there's some stories that like basically when we talk on the phone, there's some like those are the type of story we share just to see how like I want to see how would Tyron react in this situation, just like he would vice versa. So to go back to your question,
I was wondering if you're going to answer the question or not. Or
so how do we keep in contact? We speak. I did answer it. I said we speak approxially on average, once or twice a week through WhatsApp or phone calls.
Yeah, you're in various group chats together.
Correct. Go ahead, Tyron. You can answer this more concisely.
But was that the question? It was, how do we keep in contact?
How do you
maintain the relationship?
What does your friendship look like after uni?
What does it look like? I would say it's the same, right? I think we obviously interact less. We used to interact on a daily basis in university. But although we're like physically distant, I think we're still emotionally close. So I think, it hasn't changed much in that sense. And I think it's still growing, right? That's the beauty of our friendship. It always grows and it's still growing. We still have stuff that we disagree about. We still have stuff that we have to, that we can learn from one another. So yeah, it's still growing.
All right.
Well put, concise. I love it.
New people. That's beautiful to see, beautiful to hear. We mentioned how you recommended some advice on how to make friends while at uni, but how would you find or make your forever friend post-university? You've gone through university, you haven't necessarily found like, you know, that person, I guess, that you hit it off with. And now you're in the real world, trying to navigate it, trying to make that friend. A lot of people, you know, they feel very lonely after university. They feel alone and they don't know who to turn to. Maybe they didn't build up a network very well, or they didn't know how to, but now they want to, and now they're a bit more focused on doing so. How would you go about finding that friend or finding those group of people that you consider friends after you've left the space that has kind of just everybody congregated? That was a very long-winded question, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because yes, like you mentioned, university is a great, you know, catalyst for fostering relationships, right? You're surrounded by people that are like-minded to a certain extent. So now you leave university. How do you make friends? So I have one great friend that I made post-university. And just to backtrack, when I first arrived in California, I remember not necessarily knowing, I did not know many people. And yeah, initially you're kind of struggling to make friends, right? You have your colleagues, but you don't necessarily have that close relationship. And, you know, after while, I met another engineer that works at Tesla, and we kind of hit it off, right? And to bring back to what else to revisit what I said before about, initially what brought us together was common interest, right? We both liked playing basketball, so we met up after work and played some basketball. But after a while, what made our friendship go from good to great was really no longer common interest. It was common values, right? We valued the same things. We valued being a lifelong learner. We valued our families. We valued one-on-one interactions. So I think just putting yourself out there for to do activities with people, putting yourself out there, willing to have social interactions. I think that always helps build friendships. And then what makes the friendship blossom is really, connecting on a not a superficial level, right? Really on a deeper level. So I would say that's kind of my advice for post-university. It's still the same as the advice I gave for during university. Do activities, surround yourself with people with common interests, and then hopefully from those common interests, you find people that align with your values.
Okay, that's true. Back to interests and values. And it's important to recognize what yours are to be able to attract people who have similar interests and values as yourself. Julian,
Yes.
Would you like to add anything to that? We got some kids joining the podcast. I'll cut this out, don't worry.
Julian, man.
So was it hard for you to make friends in Cali or like meet people? I know, how long ago, what was the time difference between like you going there and then COVID starting and having to stay inside and work virtually?
I've been here since on full time since November of 2018, I want to say. 2019? Yeah, 2019. So I guess that's the time difference. But I'll let Julian's back. I'll let him answer the question. I won't steal his thunder.
Okay, well, what was the question? Sorry, kids can't just get back home.
Making friends post-university.
Okay.
How would you, what? Is it, how would you find or how would you make friends post-uni?
Well, actually, I was thinking about it when Tyron was answering, but I just forgot my answer. I would say one of the key points is not judging yourself. A lot of people have a tendency of judging themselves very heavily. I'm not accomplished. I'm not this. I'm not that. So I don't want to go meet. I don't want to go put myself out there. So like definitely, I think it's important to like put yourself out there. I think it's important to give it a try. Go, meet people and also not judge people, because a lot of people have a tendency of like not, because they judge people in their head before meeting the person. So, or they don't know what people are about because I figured you out. Like I heard you speak for I heard you say 2 or 3 sentences. I know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it goes to like judging themselves, not looking at the mirror, not liking and loving what they're seeing. Mm-hmm. So they're not willing to engage, and judging other people and saying like thinking, I have this person figured it out, not knowing that what that person could actually bring into their life and stuff like that. Because when you're constantly thinking about like what is this person going to bring to me, you're being you're missing the value or the hidden gems of what the person can actually bring to your life. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would say. Don't judge, and don't judge yourself too hard, or don't judge yourself at all, obviously. And at the same time, don't judge other people.
Yeah, no, very important. And I think it's through practice, because we're so accustomed to looking, judging, criticizing, complaining, or whatever. So if that's something that you're used to, especially those internal head games, it'll take some practice, and so just keep putting yourself out there and giving yourself grace and trying again. So to conclude, what's one resource whether it's a book, an article, maybe an Instagram account, a quote, a personality, website, etc. You can share one resource you can share with the listeners to help them navigate friendships throughout university and or post-university.
Well, I will say, check in all your social media accounts, join Gary V. Okay, Gary V is
Gary V helps you make friends.
He will help you make whatever you were trying to make. Okay, I would definitely say join Gary V. Like in terms of even if you're business oriented, entrepreneur oriented, or if you're just like I think because his core content, he talks about being happy. Okay, it's important for people to be happy, and a lot of people don't think they deserve to be happy, because let me enjoy this, so for whatever reason. So listening through his content and listening to his posts and stuff like that, I think will definitely help people move in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Tyron.
Yeah, I would say absolutely. Happiness is definitely definitely important.
Apparently not.
No, it's definitely important. Definitely important. But so you think that? I guess you're saying that you start off with this happiness, and then that brings depression.
What is so funny?
No, because he doesn't think it builds friendship. No, because the reason why. No, because the reason why I'm saying that to answer to your smart question. The reason why I'm saying that is because there's people have a tendency of judging themselves too much. So he's basically telling like break through the BS, break through that. Like whatever front you're trying to put, like you don't have to front, like be natural yourself. And a lot of his message would demonstrate that, like.
Oh, in that sense, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I misunderstood what you said initially, but I know what you mean now. And sorry to you can cut this out if you like to, but this is why we have these arguments, is because he might say something, and in his mind he's answering the question directly, and I just didn't understand how that related to the question, but I can see now how that relates to it.
Okay.
So usually people would ask for clarity or something, but how do y'all go about it? Do you just laugh, and then the other one's like, why are you laughing? And then
no, just like he did there,
you start with laughing,
like
and then you ask.
He literally tried to contain himself. I can't.
No,
because he obviously I see his point as well as in it was not as clear as I thought it to be.
No, but it makes sense now about not putting up a front, just being yourself. I see what you mean. Mm-hmm. I would say for me, I think that's a really interesting question. Two things came to mind. So the first thing is, I think I could be wrong here, but I think it's Malcolm Gladwell that says, you should be, if you want to make friends, something along the lines of, if you want people to find you interesting, you should find stuff that are interesting in other people, right? Get interested in other people, and then you will become interesting in that sense. So I think, to talk about like quotes that come to mind, that came to mind immediately, is this idea of, investing in other people, being willing to learn, how are you doing today? And really caring, right? So I think that's a good advice that has served me well, is really cultivating a genuine interest in other people's lives. And then I turned back as you said it, and I have this book here, Never Eat Alone, in the back, that orange book.
Yeah.
And it talks exactly, it's a bit funny, but I read this a few years ago, and it talks about that. It talks about fostering relationships. And I think it's important not necessarily to read the book. I'm not recommending the book, but what I'm saying is, if you're mindful of fostering relationships, that's important. So just be mindful of trying to improve yourself in order for you to be able to develop meaningful connections. I think as soon as you start being mindful of it, knowing that, hey, I really want to develop these meaningful relationships. How do I go about it? Whatever way you go about it, that's unique to yourself. But just be mindful of that. That is a useful skill to cultivate, building meaningful relationships.
Yeah. All right. So you pull out a book, and I think Julian was like, I got books too. So
yeah. If we're talking about books.
But it's not by force.
No, I was trying to pull out the same book. That's like, I got it too,
Okay, so you've read the same thing.
I think that's one of the common themes that like in terms of when you're talking about building friendship and stuff like that, you definitely need to be building interest in people. Is one of the ways you do it is by reading books, by going out and finding the resources to give you the knowledge to put into practice.
Yeah.
To add to what Tyron said.
Right. That's great. So learn, and consider other people. Don't just look inward, but look inward first. Okay. So what I've gathered is look inward. So know yourself, know your interests, know your values, and then consider others. So when you're putting yourself out there and you're looking towards other people, think about what could they be interested in? What are they valuing? What can we talk about? And not just talk about yourself or the only things that you want to talk about.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, don't judge yourself too harsh.
Don't judge yourself too harshly.
Like people have a tendency of judging themselves harshly, and similarly, do not judge other people harshly as well.
Yeah, grace all around. So, in conclusion, how would you summarize your friendship in one word?
Fire.
Oh, I could have a lot of interpretations.
Yeah.
All right, so fire from Julian.
And I would say, I would say meaningful.
Meaningful friendships. Something we can all aspire to. All right. Well, thank you so much for Julian. Do you want to say something about the meaningfulness?
No, I completely agree with what he said. Like definitely meaningful. Like as well as in I guess that's another word after fire is
It's one word, man. You said fire. That's your word.
It's one word.
You got to stick with fire.
People are gonna be like, "What the hell is fire, man? What does that mean?"
That's for y'all to know. It's your friendship. Tyron's probably asking.
Yeah, Julian is cryptic. I told you guys.
Proverbs everywhere. He gets it from his mama.
Oh. I
Wise
guess
words.
so.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, for allowing me into your friendship, into your relationship for a little bit, going down memory lane, and also for helping my listeners to have a bit of an understanding of what it looks like to build a meaningful friendship and relationship and how to maintain it. Because I think a lot of people are able to, maybe start something, but keeping it may be complicated, or maybe they don't know how to start it, and they would like to know how to start it and how to keep it. So thank you for sharing your insight on that. I really appreciate it, and I hope that this friendship continues to grow and bud. And I mean, I'll be here along for the ride.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much, Josephine. Thank you very much for having us on. And it was definitely a pleasure talking about the subject with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you asked some really thought-provoking questions. So thank you for, providing the space so that we could reflect on these meaningful experiences. And well done with your podcast. This is going really well. Season 2 is starting off really well. I love the production quality.
I hope y'all don't shut the Zoom and then call each other talking about what was that? What were you talking about?
No.
I'm gonna need you to explain this a little bit more.
Jokes aside, no, thank you for having us on. This was fun.
Thank you. All right, I'll catch y'all later. Have a good one.
All right.